Hi, welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 88. Tesla shows off their growth and everyone else pales in comparison. And GM is out saying they will lead the EV market in the US. And the EV adoption rate in Europe is speeding up. And Ford might be seeing some demand problems for their Mach E. And a German BEV rental company bans all BEVs. Except Teslas. All this and much more to come on today's episode. Let's dive right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
So let's take a look at Tesla's growth here, because it's kind of mind-boggling. No wonder Volkswagen held a crisis meeting about how to catch up with Tesla's production rate. Crazy times, because we did get Tesla's delivery numbers last week, and Tesla grew about 20% quarter over quarter, and last quarter they grew 14% quarter over quarter. This is crazy. They haven't turned on any new factories or production line. They are still just ramping up what they already have. Very impressive. It was only a little over 2 years ago, after Q1 2019, when Gabe Hoffman said on CNBC that Tesla's demand had peaked and Tesla has big inventory problem.
I believe demand has peaked in the US and Tesla still has a big inventory problem.
Yeah, so he thought that Tesla Q4 2018 delivery numbers of 90,000 were the best Tesla would ever get. And now they have just delivered 241,000 in Q3. In 2018, the total delivery numbers was 244,000. They almost matched that with just 1 quarter 3 years later. This is some crazy growth. To put Tesla's pace of growth in perspective to what some of the other guys are doing. The Ford Mach E, for example, that should have come out with a good amount of pinned-up demand and was called the Tesla killer back in the days, and is a direct competitor to the Tesla Model Y that is selling like crazy. Have so far this year delivered 12,000 in Europe and 19,000 in the US, so a total of about 31,000 year to date, or maybe a couple of thousand more. But this is still less EVs than Tesla grew with from Q2 to Q3. Tesla's growth from Q2 with 201,000 to Q3 241,000 was 40,000 cars. So Tesla's growth quarter over quarter was more than all of Ford's EVs sold so far the entire year. But Ford's production should be doing very well. They have so far year to date produced about 51,000 Mach E's. So that is over their target of 50,000 in 2021. So that is very good. So if they can hold on to that production rate they have right now with a little over 5,000 per month, they should be able to hit somewhere between 66 to 70,000 Mach E's in 2021. But I do think this is what they are able to produce. They are not battery constrained. Ford CEO has been out saying they have access to 20 gigawatt hours of batteries, and what they have produced so far this year of EVs, Ford has only used about 4.2 gigawatt hours of batteries. So Ford is not battery constrained whatsoever. But I just don't think they can produce more than what they are doing right now. Just as we have seen with Volkswagen holding a crisis meeting because they can't keep up with Tesla in production speed. I think Ford is also finding out that producing EVs is very different from producing ICE cars. Just remember, Ford started production last year, so this will be their first full year of production of the Mach E, and they will hit maybe 70,000 if they are good. But just remember, when Tesla started ramping up their Model 3, 2018 was their first full year of production, and they ended up with 140,000 Model 3s produced in 2018. So even though many short sellers were saying this is nothing compared to Ford's total vehicle sales, Ford could easily cross Tesla if they wanted to. But now we see Ford is not able to produce about half the amount of Mach E's in its first full year of production than Tesla's Model 3 in its first full year of production. Half. And that was the Tesla production hell year. And as we know, Ford only has a target of producing about 80,000 Ford F-150 Lightning in 2024, its second full year of production. Tesla produced over 300,000 Model 3s in its second year of production. So it is becoming very clear that the old legacy automaker cannot produce or ramp up production of EVs as fast as Tesla has done and are doing, because Tesla is speeding up. Like last year, for example, after the first 3 quarters of 2020, Tesla had delivered 390,000 cars, but the year before, the total sales was 367,000, so a little under last year's total deliveries. But now they have delivered 627,000 cars after the first 3 quarters of 2021. That is 127,000 cars more than the entire year of 2020. Yep, Tesla is speeding up. It took Tesla 12 years to get the first million cars sold, but it only took about 18 months to get the next million cars sold. And we will get the next million within the next 12 months. And just look at this mountain Tesla is building with its busted growth story. No wonder many of the short sellers are simply giving up. Yeah, Ford will never catch up to Tesla. It's impossible. But Ford seems to be a bit behind with the deliveries. If they so far have produced 51,000 Mach E's this year, but seem to only have delivered about 31,000 to 35,000, had that been Tesla, the mainstream media would have been screaming, demand problem, inventory problem. But this being Ford, they just don't really care. But it will be interesting to see if Ford will reach their target of 50,000 Mach E's delivered in 2021. They are produced now, so it's only a matter of getting them out to customers. So if they don't succeed with that, I would call that a demand problem. But Tesla, on the other hand, delivered more cars than they produced in Q3, so they probably don't have much inventory left. So Q4 will be all about how many cars Tesla will be able to produce. How much more can they ramp up in Fremont and China? And how many cars will Berlin and Texas factory produce this year? And do they still have supply chain issues? So a lot of questions, but Tesla should be able to produce a lot more Model S, and it also looks like the Model X is in production now as well. And we know the ramp in China we saw last quarter was not for the entire quarter, so there should also be some room for improvement here as well in Q4. So I think 250,000 is too low, and I have a hard time imagining that Tesla could ramp up another 14%. But then again, the Berlin factory and Texas hopefully should start spitting out Model Ys by maybe mid-November or something like that. That will also be some thousands of cars they will produce if the China ramp is anything to go after. We could probably expect something like 5,000 cars per factory if they get going in mid-November. So I think there's still a very good possibility for Tesla to get over 900,000 by delivering 273,000 cars in Q4, but maybe 20,000 cars more than Q3 would be more realistic with everything going on. So about 261,000 to end of the year at about 888,000 units. No matter what, it's going to be a great year for Tesla. And as I said last year, by the end of 2021, everyone will get it. But we can already kind of hear in the mainstream media that they're kind of already blown away what Tesla did in Q3, especially compared to everyone else. So yeah, I still think everyone will get it by the end of the years. The others are not going to ramp up as fast, and especially compared to Tesla, and Tesla will speed up. 2021 is going to be one big test lab to the entire car industry. And it is not only in Norway the Model Y is doing well here in Europe. In my home country, the Tesla Model Y was also the best-selling car of any kind in September. Number 2 was the Kia Ceed, and the number 3 was the Tesla Model 3. Yeah, I guess the short sellers and Bob Lutz was wrong again about the Model Y would just cannibalize the Model 3 sales. Yeah, that is simply just not the case, no matter what market you're looking at. And the plug-in market share here in Denmark was also 48%, and fully BEV was 24%. If this trend continues, Denmark will convert to EVs much faster than Norway did, as I also just made a whole video about. If you haven't seen that one yet, you should check it out. And we see pretty much the same trend in every European country. The EV adoption rate is speeding up, and look like they will be 100% in less time than Norway will. Germany is already close to 30% EV market share in September, and the UK EV share was also above 20% in September, and the best-selling car in the UK in September was the Tesla Model 3. Yeah, just wait until they get the Model Y over there as well. And in Europe, Tesla is gaining on Volkswagen as the best-selling EV brand. Last time we looked at it, Volkswagen was about 15,000 in front of Tesla, and now they're only 13,000 in front. So, as I said before, I think Tesla will be the best-selling EV brand in Europe this year. But this being the first month of a quarter, we will definitely not see a lot of Tesla sales in Europe. As we also looked at last Sunday, there are no more Model Ys in Norway. They have all been sold and delivered, and there hasn't been even one Model Y delivered in Norway so far in October. So now we are waiting for Tesla China to ship more cars to Europe. But as you can see, the Model 3 is still by far the best-selling EV model in Europe year to date, and that is not going to change with only 3 months left. And just remember, when we are talking about the competition is coming, just look at this list of EVs in Europe. Yeah, that is a crazy amount of EV models. But despite all that competition, Tesla Model 3 sits nicely at the top spot, comfortably ahead of any of the competition. But Tesla is also showing that the Ice Age is ending in the US as well. As Not an Analyst wrote on Twitter, Tesla was the #1 premium auto brand in the US in Q3, even though it only had 3 models available, the 3, Y and S. Tesla 90,000, Linux 80,000, BMW 76,000, Mercedes 71,000, Audi 41,000, less than half than Tesla. And he continued, the Model 3 outsold all BMW passenger cars, 43,000 to 35,000. Model Y outsold all BM SUVs and light trucks, 46,000 to 40,000. The Model 3 and Y combined outsold BMW's entire lineup, 90,000 against 75,000. Yeah, not even the I sales can keep up with Tesla in the US. But GM has big plans of taking the leader position in the EV market in the US from Tesla. At a shareholder meeting, GM said GM plans to reach leadership in the EV market share in the US while growing its profit from internal combustion engine vehicles. What? Okay, great, they want to be the leader in the EV, but at the same time grow their profits from ICE cars. That doesn't make sense, but okay. But one way they want to take over Tesla is by offering a Chevy crossover priced at around $30,000. So a new version of the Chevy Bolt, I guess, that is going to be about $3,000 lower. Well, when the Bolt came out, headlines like this were very common. We just drove the all-electric Chevy Bolt and Tesla is officially in trouble. And we all know how that went. But GM didn't give any time frame for all of the new EVs that they will come out with or what the target is for production numbers of the EVs. So again, a lot of talk with very little substance, and Tesla Facts on Twitter was in correcting CNBS little chart here with Q3 deliveries. GM does not have 9% market share, but only 3. So I guess the 50% EVs by 2030 for GM is still what they're aiming for. So as I said in my last video, that is how big GM will be in 2030, if that's what they're aiming for. 50% smaller if they're still alive at that point, of course. So 50% in 2030 is their target. So they're aiming for something like 3 million EVs in 2030 globally, while Tesla is aiming for 20 million. With the pace GM has set, how can they even talk about being the leader in the US market? Tesla will get close to 1 million EVs this year, something like 850 or 900,000 EVs. And next year Tesla will have the Texas factory up and running and spitting out more Model Ys combined with the Fremont factory than GM probably has a plan for EV production in total on a global scale next year. How can they even say with a straight face they will become the leader in the EV market in the US? It's amazing. What a poker face. They still continue to talk about all the new EV models they will come out with. But we are still waiting for the first EV on the Ultium battery platform to come out, the Hummer EV. Meanwhile, all their Bolts has been recalled. Their sales of the Bolt were down 21% in Q3, and they once again talk about the Cadillac Lyriq being one of those new EV models on its way, but the first one comes out in 2023 and the first pre-orders were limited to 1,500. Sorry GM, you will never be a leader in the EV market in the US with the slow pace you have set for EV production as your goals. They are pretty pathetic, and for you to go out and talk about you being the leader in the EV market in the US just shows me how very desperate you are, because everyone that just knows a little bit about your EV production plans and the rest of the world EV production plans knows this is nothing but talk. And Tesla will pay off its $1.4 billion China loan for the Gigafactory Shanghai early. Tesla fully repaid its $1.4 billion loan that was announced in 2019 within 16 months. Very impressive. Just like the $465 million loan Tesla got from the US government was paid back 9 years early with interest. Elon even replied on Twitter about this Chinese loan being paid back. Tesla always pay its debt. But Ford, on the other hand, has never repaid their loan they got from the US government in the same period as Tesla. Yeah, it's not Tesla that has financial problems. And Larry Goldberg put together some numbers about the 3 big automakers in the US, where we can see just what a good and strong business Tesla is compared to the so-called competition. These numbers are for the first half of 2021. Ford, $5.51 billion in profit, selling 1.8 million vehicles. GM, $7.43 billion in profit on selling 2.8 million vehicles. And Tesla, $5.18 billion in profit, selling 386,000 vehicles. Just wait until Tesla gets to their size. And speaking of Tesla's big factories, I just went down to the Gigabillion factory this weekend. I did not receive a ticket to get into the factory tour, but I was invited to a little Tesla get-together the day before, and I still wanted to go and see the factory and be part of this big event, because I just realized what a big move this is for Tesla. Something I haven't seen anybody else talk about, so I will leave this as a little cliffhanger because I am making a whole video about it that I will try to get out tomorrow. So if you are not already subscribed to the channel, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out. And I will give all my patrons and members early access to this video, so stay tuned for that, guys. But videos from inside the factory were already coming out on the day of the factory tour. But one German YouTuber talked with one of the employees and asked when they would be ready to go, and he said as soon as we get approval we can be ready to go within 2 hours. So Gigabillion is ready to rock and roll. All they are waiting for are the last approval to start production. They will definitely start production this year. Very exciting. But stay tuned for my next video about the Berlin factory. And there was a lot of good news this week from SpaceX. For at least the second time in 2021, unexpected issue with a US military payload has delayed SpaceX's next Falcon Heavy launch, this time pushing the mission into next year. So if everything goes as planned from now on, we could have 3 launches of SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket in the next 6 months. That would be cool. The launch of that rocket just looks so amazing. And SpaceX also plans to double its fleet of reusable Dragon spacecraft in less than 9 months to support NASA's mission. Nice. And on October the 6th, NASA announced it's changed a pair of astronauts from a planned mission to the International Space Station aboard Boeing Starliner to SpaceX Crew Dragon. The change is due to Boeing facing delays with their Starliner spacecraft development. Ouch. Why don't they just give the job to Blue Origin then? Oh yeah, that's right. They can't get to orbit.
Jeff who?
And Tank Watcher tweeted this picture is going up. SpaceX team are lifting the Megazilla carriage. This piece will support the chopstick part that will catch the booster. I can't even believe I'm saying these words. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this news show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. A tanker of Marathon Refinery in Texas City is leaking oil. Yeah, nature loses again. A solar plant doesn't leak toxics into nature. Let's get more of those instead. And in New Zealand, Tesla is also doing great. 1 out of 5 cars sold is electric, but look at this little chart. Tesla in New Zealand in Q3 was bigger than Audi, BMW and Mercedes combined. Not in EV sales, but car sales. But it's not all good news for all EVs in Q3. The Porsche Taycan's US sales were very disappointing. They were down to Q3 numbers of last year, and even though many new versions of the Taycan was launched, the number was still lower than both Q1 and Q2. And if you're one of those people that thinks that EV would not be successful without any subsidies, well, I guess you forget that fossil fuel industry receives subsidies of 11 million every minute. But because it is implicit, most people just don't know about it and don't think there are any subsidies for fossil fuel, but there is, and a lot. And Tesla battery supplier CATL plans to acquire a lithium mining company in Canada. Yeah, they're not kidding around, they want to grow and grow fast. And for the first time ever, people in Europe purchased more electric cars than diesel cars. Yeah, diesel cars are going down the drain. A German BEV rental company abandons all BEVs after 2.5 years of experience, except Teslas, because IDs, Enyaq, Taycans, Konas, Ioniq had a lot of problem with software, charging and repairs. Was simply spending too much in the repair shop, but the Tesla Model 3 they had for 2.5 years have been driven over 300,000 kilometers with no problem, and of course great charging infrastructure that always works. Yeah, Tesla learned a thing or two about build quality. Starlink internet is now available in all of Germany. Well, that is all great and all, but I'm still waiting for my Starlink dish here in Denmark. Can't wait for the headline, Starlink now covers all of Denmark. And the Fort Lauderdale Commission voted 4-1 to proceed the Boring Company's Las Olas Loop proposal. We see more and more cars on the road, we have to find an alternative method of trying to deal with traffic, and I think this is an exciting opportunity for the city, the mayor said about the project. Until recently, solar roof installation were limited to some approved markets in the US, but Tesla is now expanding its solar roof installation to anywhere in the US. And if you didn't see Rivian take on Hell's Gate at Moab, Utah, you should. Very impressive and so cool to see the power of the EV, but at the same time, no screaming engine going up this mountain. The only noise it makes comes from the tires. And YouTuber Marcus Brownlee that had bought the Plaid Model S that didn't like the yoke very much on first impression, but after 6,806 miles in his Plaid, well, he wrote, I completely gotten used to the yoke, to the point where if I was given the option to switch to a normal wheel, I wouldn't take it. We'll never get used to the performance though. Everything else is ruined. And before we end up with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my newest patrons and members of this YouTube channel. Oscar Adalbjarnason, Martin Strilka, James Moore, Nils Grotnes, Jerry McKinney, MB Rowling, Bernard Way, and Rick Tate. And my thank you for watching, members: James Hansel, Chad Thompson, Algonquin Architect, Del Spiva, Norm Red, Peter Sørensen, 365 Solved, PHCG, David Valley, Dave Pelletier PE, and Donald Chicoine. Thank you all so much for your support. I am doing all this by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this show. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun, with a little piece of the interview Elon recently did when he was asked about Jeff Bezos' weird-looking little rocket.
I mean, I think it does have, it could be a different shape, potentially. You know.
Could you explain from a technological point of view why it's that shape?
Well, if you are only going to doing suborbital, then your rocket can be sort of shorter, yes. Yeah.
That is all we have time for in this new show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help out this video a lot, so others can find it here on YouTube. And if you did enjoy it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support, and if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel and get your shout out on this show. You can also become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out and some extra perks. Hit the members button to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I tweet all the news as it comes out and more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. Now it's also possible to support the show without buying anything, becoming a member or a patron. There is a link to a donation options in the show notes. But going forward, I will be making more videos for patrons and members only, so don't miss out. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.